Have you ever wondered what it actually takes to build a truly top-tier educational curriculum from scratch? Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to dive into the exact anatomical blueprint used to generate a massive premium module on cybersecurity. We essentially got our hands on the foundational source code, so to speak, of a highly structured curriculum that's literally designed to turn complete novices into hired professionals. It's absolutely fascinating to see how an ideal lesson is structured behind the scenes, and we're going to break the whole thing down, step by step, right now.
Let's dive right in. Just look at this incredible requirement from the source material. It sets the stage for the instructor's persona, and man, it sets an unimaginably high bar. It demands an absolute industry expert. We're talking about someone with over 2 decades of experience spanning almost every major specialized domain in cybersecurity. It sets the tone immediately, right? This isn't just casual learning. This is high-level masterclass tier instruction from a true veteran.
And the core ambition of this blueprint? It's genuinely staggering. It outlines a highly structured, accelerated path to take someone from a complete, absolute beginner at step 1, run them through a rigorous 30-day masterclass, and eject them on the other side at step 3 as a hired freelance professional. Just 30 days. To pull that off, every single lesson has to be incredibly dense, perfectly structured, and strictly focused on real-world outcomes. And that is exactly what we're going to dissect today.
Because our source material is an intense, rapid-fire list of over 25 specific curriculum demands, I've organized this explainer into 5 key themes so we can clearly understand how a top-tier lesson is built. 1. The masterclass blueprint. 2. The expert persona. 3. Theory meets practical lab. 4. Career and certification readiness. And 5. Future tech and assessments.
Let's kick things off with our first section, the masterclass blueprint.
To really understand this blueprint, we first need to pinpoint exactly where we are in this massive educational journey. We aren't just looking at day 1 here. We're zooming way ahead into week 4 of the curriculum, which is the professional cybersecurity phase. Specifically, we're dissecting the requirements for day 28, which focuses entirely on security automation with Python. By day 28, the foundational training wheels are totally off. The blueprint demands a deep dive into using Python to automate security tasks. And you know, this is an absolute necessity in modern cyber defense, mainly because manual monitoring simply cannot keep up with the blinding speed of today's automated attacks.
Moving right along to our second theme, the expert persona.
Let's look a bit closer at the mastermind persona required to deliver this Python automation lesson. The prompt doesn't just ask for a generic programming teacher, right? It demands a veteran practitioner who simultaneously holds all of these heavyweight industry titles. Frankly, they're asking for a cybersecurity unicorn. But think about it. Why demand a SOC analyst, a penetration tester, and a malware analyst just to teach a Python lesson? Well, it's because Python code written by a generic developer looks very different from Python code written by an ethical hacker trying to automate a network exploit or a forensics expert writing a script to parse malware logs. This specific requirement ensures absolute authority and guarantees the code being taught is actually battle-tested.
So how does an instructor with that much experience actually teach the material? That brings us to our third section, theory meets practical lab.
The blueprint actually demands a perfect equilibrium here. On one hand, it requires deep conceptual theory supported by explicit text diagrams. But because theory alone is kind of useless in cybersecurity, it demands an immediate, hands-on counterpart, a practical demonstration, and a live lab. It's like a 1-2 punch. You're learning the concept fundamentally, visualizing it, and then instantly executing it in a simulated live environment. That is how true retention happens.
It then grounds this whole learning equation with a rapid-fire list of real-world applications. The instructor can't just throw out a sterile coding example. No way. They are mandated to provide actual client project examples. They have to teach the professional workflow, outlining exactly how this looks in a real corporate setting. Furthermore, they're explicitly required to highlight common mistakes. And honestly, this is huge. Learning what not to do from a 20-year veteran, that literally saves a beginner years of painful trial and error.
Now for our fourth theme, career and certification readiness.
We explore how this curriculum blueprint requires the lesson to pivot from pure education to actionable career monetization. How does this technical knowledge actually translate into a real-world career? This is the essential question the blueprint forces the lesson to answer. We've all taken courses where you learn a bunch of great concepts, but you're left at the end wondering, okay, but how do I actually get paid for knowing this? Well, this curriculum architecture forbids that ambiguity. It guarantees the learner is prepared for the job market, not just the lab.
To actually answer that, the module mandates the inclusion of hard, actionable data. It literally requires the lesson to include salary information, so you know your actual market worth.
It demands interview questions specific to Python automation so you can breeze through the technical screen. It requires a broader career roadmap. And what's really unique here is the freelancer perspective. It's not just preparing you for a corporate desk job, it's giving you the exact tools to sell this specific skill as an independent consultant. Furthermore, it builds even more professional value by explicitly aligning the Day 28 knowledge with the industry's most respected certifications, which I've mapped out for you here. The lesson must connect its concepts to the Certified Ethical Hacker Exam, CompTIA Security Plus, PNPT, the notoriously difficult OSCP, and even the CISSP. By tying the daily lesson directly to these gold standard certifications, it essentially proves the real-world resume-building value of what you're learning right then and there.
Finally, let's dive into our fifth theme, future tech and assessments. Let's talk about future-proofing. A modern curriculum simply cannot ignore the horizon. Technology moves way too fast, especially in this sector. So the blueprint explicitly mandates coverage of the latest AI tools related to the topic, the newest cyber attacks, and the overall future scope of the industry. You aren't just learning how Python automation works today. The prompt ensures the instructor is preparing you for how AI will augment or maybe even complicate that automation tomorrow.
Now, to ensure the student actually absorbed this massive day of learning, the blueprint demands a strict 4-part assessment structure before they're allowed to move on. You can't just passively watch a video here. You're hit with a 20-question quiz to test factual recall, then a mini project for a quick practical check, then a full project to synthesize everything you just learned, and finally, homework to keep you engaged until day 29. It's a relentless but perfectly balanced metric for success.
As we wrap up this explainer on curriculum architecture, we're left with a pretty fascinating reality. The fact that we have to mandate AI tool integration, constant threat updates, and rigorous multi-layered assessments just to teach one day of a cybersecurity masterclass really highlights the sheer speed of this industry. It leaves us with a provocative thought. As we push toward 2026 and beyond, will even these highly structured, rapid-fire learning tools ever truly be enough to outpace tomorrow's automated threats? The bar is incredibly high, and it's only getting higher. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and keep learning.